Hello guys, Mr. Fluffy Bass here. Today guys, another video. Today guys, I'm reviewing Season 1, Episode 6 of WandaVision, which is entitled All New Halloween Spooktacular, which, this is the, I guess, every sitcom's, Halloween episode. So I'm kind of wondering, are we going to get a Christmas episode too? Probably not, but if you guys haven't seen this episode yet, go watch it and then you come back because this will contain spoilers. But, and also make sure you guys subscribe for, future, episode reviews of this show and movies and all that kind of good stuff. But, I've really been enjoying WandaVision, like, a lot, and, like, I've been looking forward to every week's episode now. The first two episodes, were a little rough to get through, honestly, kind of looking back, like, I don't want to go back and rewatch those, even though I enjoyed them at the time. But, like, these newer episodes are just so good. But, like I said, this episode's called All New Halloween Spooktacular, which, and this is kind of having the same formula from the, episode 5, where it's cutting back and forth between the, sitcom style and then the, like the sword kind of thing, all that, if we got our favorite, group, which is Darcy, Monica and, Jimmy Woo. I love them so much. And, Monica and Woo are badasses. We'll get into that a little bit later, but, I guess we'll start with, like, Wanda's, this kind of sitcom thing, and then we'll go into Sword and how they connect together this episode. So, pretty much like this episode, Wanda, also this episode's, like, based off Malcolm in the Middle, which is, like, early 2000s. So, did they just kind of skip over the 90s? Not sure. I think, like, some of Full House and all that did carry over into the 90s or something like that. But, the intro straight up, Malcolm in the Middle, which I never personally watched, but, what. It'd also be kind of fun if Disney straight up did, like, some Disney sitcoms from, like, late 2000s and stuff like that. That'd be really cool. But, and this episode is based around Halloween. You got the two twins, which, I'm really loving their characters. I'm really enjoying them. When they were first introduced, I'm like, okay, yeah. But the two kid actors they got now are actually, really good in the roles, and they actually get their powers, by the end of the episode. Like, Speed gets, his his fast running, I guess, and Wiccan kind of gets his telepathic abilities. I'm pretty sure if that's what his abilities are. I think his abilities are just like his mom's though, but this episode also really cool. Pietro, which is kind of Pietro from the MCU, but like they're like, oh yeah, he's recast, and they even bring it up later in the episode, like, why do I look different? And Wanda's like, I honestly have no idea. And then like there's also some divergence when he's remembering memory in Sokovia, and Wanda's like, I don't really remember that. So this kind of made me wonder, is this like alternate reality stuff, or if he's just like a ploy from the main villain of the show, whoever that might be. I guess Mephisto or something. He might be Mephisto. Which, it is interesting, like, later in the episode when he's, like, asking Wanda, like, how did you do this? Like, he's wanting to, like, kind of know how she did this, and, which might, he might be the villain of the show, and he's being like, well, I need to know how you did this so I can use it for my nefarious purposes, but, that's just a theory. And also I got another theory later about, Vision and Sword and all that, but, this episode, Vision and Wanda are still kind of, split, from their fights, the last couple of episodes, and even, like, the kids notice, but, I also love how, Pietro's kind of like the cool uncle, throughout the episode, really quite, like, they steal all the candy or whatnot, but, Vision starts, venturing out of, Westview, or not really out of Westview, but to the edges of it, where it seems like, the further away he gets from Wanda, the less, like, activity that the people do, like, at the edges of Westview, people are just pretty much standing still. He meets Agnes or whatnot, and she's just kind of acting weird. He does this little touch to the forehead thing and kind of snaps her out of her kind of illusion, which makes me think maybe Agnes ain't really the bad guy, but then again, that could be like a ploy or whatnot. Also, another thing is with Quicksilver, whenever Pietro puts on his Quicksilver, like, classic comic book outfit, his hair does look straight up like devil horns. Maybe they just did that to kind of trick us or whatnot, but, Wanda's costume and Vision's costume and all that's just great, whenever he touches Agnes's head, she's like, am I dead? And she's like, oh, you're an Avenger, you're the Vision, you gonna save us? And then she's like, oh no, am I dead? And he's like, no, why would you be dead? And she's like, well, because you're dead. And like, that whole thing with like Vision can't really, remember clearly or whatnot, but, and then, I guess I'll jump to some of the sword back or story, I guess, but pretty much, they think that Hayward's stepping out boundaries, and Jimmy, Woo, Darcy, and Monica are pretty much Hayward kicks them out. He's been, kind of looking for an excuse to get them off I guess the case or whatnot. And I thought it was really fun because Hayward's like, when Darcy says something, he's like, do you work for me? And she's like, honestly, no idea. And I just think that's hilarious. I love the trio right there so much. But, they get escorted off the base, but, Wu and Monica, kick the guards' asses. And then, Darcy's like, why didn't you tell me the plan or whatnot? So then they sneak into, I guess, the data files or whatever for the, on the sword, base or whatnot. And they start hacking into Hayward's thing where he's tracking Vision and, all the people around Vision. So you can definitely tell, he wants his Vision back because, they did have him and then Wanda took him from him. This brings up my theory that this is just a theory, so, I'm not saying that, but it would definitely be interesting, but, I might make a whole, another video on this, just going deeper into it, but maybe Sword is interested in, since, Vision was built for Ultron, he's already got a little bit of Ultron in him, and, maybe they're looking for this, this AI, and they're going to accidentally bring Ultron back because of their experimentation or something like that. That could be really cool, especially, Wanda's trauma from that or whatnot. But also, let's just talk about that really creepy commercial they had about the guy that starves to death from not getting his yogurt on the island. Holy crap. But I guess that's kind of a representation of the people on the outskirts of Westview, the ones that Wanda ain't around because, they're just kind of inert and not moving. I guess they could starve to death. But, Jimmy and Agent Wu and Monica. Also, there's that whole thing they found on Hayward's laptop that, Monica's cells are kind of, permanently changed from, going in and out of the anomaly, the hex or whatnot. And, that's definitely how they're going to give her powers for sure. There's no doubt about that in my mind. But, Darcy's going to stay behind us because she said there's another firewall on Hayward's computer or whatnot, and he's hiding something really big. And then Jimmy and Monica go off to get that the truck thing that she's talking about in the last episode from her physicist or whatnot. But and then, we see Vision, he goes up to the wall, starts to come through the wall, security breach again. Hayward and all his, men go out there. Even Darcy runs out, she's supposed to get off the base or whatnot. And Vision starts, coming out, but you can tell, the hex, he cannot leave the hex. The hex is, looks like it's permanently attached to him, but whenever he starts getting outside, it starts, checking chunks of him off and, pulling them apart. And, it's, horrifying, honestly. The way he's, falling apart and stuff, and Darcy's like, well, help him, what are y'all doing? They just kind of sit back, and then Darcy gets handcuffed to the front of the truck or whatnot, but... And, they're just sitting there looking at Vision. Vision's like, help me, blah, blah, blah. But it's honestly really horrifying. This show's also got, some pretty creepy imagery like that. And then early in the episode with, when Wanda looks at Pietro and he's got, bullet holes all in him. And then... Wick and, Wanda's son is like, hey, Dad's in trouble, Mom, and Peter's like, he says something about how, Wiccan's like, well, I think he's dying, and then Peter's like, well, it wouldn't be the first time, blah, 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 and then Wanda gets mad at him, just straight up shoves him through a wall or whatnot, which definitely shows that Pietro's kind of self-aware and not in the same trance as everybody else, because, he's asking one of these questions like, why do I look different, why do blah, 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 and it's, really interesting, so... I'm really interested to see where this is going. Is Wanda, the real perpetrator here? I do think Hayward has something to do with it there. I'm not quite sure, but there's definitely something more going on there with Hayward, and definitely with Pietro. I think there is something, going on with, those two mainly, but I don't really think Agnes is, really the perpetrator where she seems more like a victim than anything else, but then again, that could be just an act. Who really knows though? But Vision just pretty much dies there on the ground, and Wanda's like, okay, enough. She pauses like everybody around her, and then she goes full on Scarlet Witch, and the border of the hex starts expanding rapidly, bring Vision back in it, so he comes back alive or whatnot, because he was kind of reverting back to his tore apart self when Wanda stole his his deceased body parts or whatnot. And Darcy's handcuffed to the front of the trucks, and she becomes part of the Hex, and, you know, it encases the whole sword facility, you know, that kind of built around Westview. Pretty much all the sword agents and whatnot, people that get aways like Jimmy Woo, Monica, and Hayward, and like two of his G-men or whatnot. And, you know, very interesting, you know, they turn like clowns, which I think is kind of poetic or whatnot, but really interested to see where episode 7 is going. I think there's 8 episodes, or maybe there's 9, I can't remember, but really interested. We're going to, you know, start finally getting some answers, hopefully. I do think Doctor Strange is going to show up near the end of the series to kind of you know, he's like, okay, this is enough. Let me, you know, come in here and handle this now. Either that, or, you know, there's also the other 3 that, you know, eventually the Hex is going to encompass the entire, you know, the whole world, creating an alternate reality where, you know, mutants exist or whatnot, which could be interesting. But, you know, this episode of WandaVision, though, was really enjoyable. I don't even remember what I rated last week's episode, but I'm going to give this like a 9.4 out of 10 because, you know, really enjoyable. But I would definitely say it's on par with last week's episode. So even if that's not what I rated last week's episode, it's still like, you know, there with last week's episode. But like I said, 9.4 out of 10. But anyway, guys, let me know what you guys thought about this episode down below. Check out my Twitter and Discord, link in the description. Like and subscribe for more. Check out some other videos, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.